In 2017, telemarketing came in at #1 of the top 10. More than 4,000 consumers filed consumer complaints, and of those complaints, consumers were telling us about the types of phone calls that they received. They received a number of phone calls about renewing an extended auto warranty that in many cases consumers didn't even have. If they were contacted, that vehicle could have been sold, or they never even took out an extended warranty, so there was no renewal to have. And then they received phone calls about lowering your credit card interest rate, which we'd seen a number of years ago, but it made another peak in Wisconsin in 2017. Another variation of phone call that was received were imposter scams, and the nature of those would be that the IRS was calling and demanding payment by gift card. We saw utility companies being impersonated where there would be demands for payment or your utilities would be cut off. And then we also saw a number of calls as it related to other imposters, such as currently there's a Social Security Administration call that's going around that they need to verify information. So all of these are items that consumers should keep track of as it relates to if there's a demand to wire money, then that is a trigger that this is likely a scam, because you shouldn't wire money to someone that you don't know. Or if they're asking for your personal information. And that's what that current Social Security Administration scam is doing right now. They want to verify that Social Security number. That's not the way government entities operate. So as it relates to telemarketers, we understand that consumers are getting sometimes 3, 10, 15 calls a day. We want to make sure that they are reporting that information to us. Don't let the frequency of the call deter them from filing the complaint. They don't have to tell us every single time the IRS calls, but make sure we know about the fact that they called you at least once. We want to know about every variation of a scam as well, because we do track patterns and trends to try and do education so other consumers don't fall victim to it. But we also take that information and research every single phone number that we receive information about, whether it's the number that appears on a caller ID or a number that's left on a voicemail message to do a callback. We'll research that number to see if we can identify the source of the call. And of those that we find legitimate businesses behind or someone or entity behind there, we will initiate investigations. The others will, compound the data and share it with our federal partners, and they work with our international partners to try and crack down rings. And that happened in 2016 in October, where an IRS ring was cracked down, and it impacted thousands of people and was out of another country. We do encourage consumers to not answer the phone if they can do that, but that's very difficult for consumers. If you're in a hurry, you just grab the phone, you may not have caller ID, and so, and if you answer the phone, just stay silent for a minute, because the robocall ones may not trigger that call and it'll disconnect if they don't have a voice. Others, if you're saying hello and engage in the call, don't fall for what it is that they're asking of. Don't engage further. Just disconnect and hang up the call. With the lower your credit card interest rate calls, often there's a press 1 to be connected. If you're interested in this deal, press 9 to be removed from the list. If you're pressing the buttons, now you are giving off information that, okay, this is a live number, someone lives here, they'll be responsive and engage and interact with the call, and that will put you on a lead list, because some of these phone calls are just there to generate lead lists, and then depending upon how far you engage in that phone call, that list that could be sold to other telemarketers will have a different value, because this person presses buttons but hangs up, this person talks to me, this person hands over information, and that's going to put you at a different value rate there. The Do Not Call list is a permanent registration, and we encourage consumers, if you're not on the list, to register. And you can do that by calling one phone number from the phone that you want to register. If you're not sure if you're registered or not, go ahead and make that phone call directly from that phone line, and it'll validate whether or not you're registered already. You can also go to the FTC website and register there with the number, but because we get all the phone numbers, the over 4 million Wisconsin registrations all come from the federal list. currently there is a scam circulating that there are phone calls being made that and emails being sent that appear that they are coming from the Federal Trade Commission, who does all the coordination of the National Do Not Call list, which again is the Wisconsin Do Not Call list as well. And you don't expire. And so they don't send out phone calls and emails to validate information. That's something the consumer needs to do. So we're not sure where this scam is leading to, that they're reaching out to consumers, but you don't need to turn around and validate that information. You don't expire when you're on that list. So just be cautious of any circulation or contact that you have regarding the registry.